The Gulf of Sidra Incident. On August 19, 1981, U.S. fighter aircraft engaged in combat with two Libyan fighters above the Gulf of Sidra, approximately 60 miles off the coast of Libya. Both the Libyan and American governments justified the actions of their pilots in terms conforming to general principles governing appropriate use of force in peacetime aerial encounters. Each side characterized its pilots' actions as defensive. The United States claimed that its use of force was justified a response to being fired upon. Libya claimed that its pilots' initiation of force was a necessary act of national self-defense against a clear threat to Libyan territory. One of the self-defense claims by Libya was based on its claim of sovereignty over the Gulf and thus implied an assertion that right of first use of force may be triggered by any breach of territorial space by foreign aircraft. The legal dispute here seems to have centered on what behavior constitutes a communication of hostile intent sufficient to justify a defensive use of force. The international commentators criticized the U.S. presence in the area, characterizing the maneuvers and exercises as dangerously provocative show of strength. On the whole, however, the international community accepted the legality of the U.S. pilot's return of force during the incident. On the other hand, the international community do not support Libya's claim to the Gulf as internal waters or its attempt to characterize its first use position as necessary defensive response to the situation. The Gulf of Sidra incident indicates that aerial rules of engagement formulated by individual states are subject to an identifiable and widely accepted norm. This norm requires that, in peacetime, military aircraft attempt to avoid the use of first force during potentially hostile encounters with the aircraft of another state. The norm permits a first use of force only when necessary for immediate unit or national self-defense, and then usually only after giving warning. Although rules of engagement are formulated by individual states to govern their own military operations, it may be assumed that national rules of engagement are derived with reference to international expectations regarding appropriate behavior.